These are my favorite art supplies that you've never heard of. They're the brand names and the materials that you won't find when you're shopping at your local art store. These art supplies are all made by independent art supply makers, indies. And my favorite part about all this is that when you buy from them, you're not just supporting someone's craft, you are essentially supporting their livelihood. And as a small business owner myself, that, my friends, is magic. So without further ado, let's jump in. Ooh, cracked. And let me introduce you to the first item on my list. A few months ago, this unassuming little tin lit my social media on fire. For good reason, because I posted a reel of how I created these snow ballerinas and everyone went nuts. So here's my secret. Pigment Salt Sprinkles by Ruby Mountain Paint Company. And here's how they work. You coat an area of your paper with water and sprinkle a little dust on it while the paper is wet. What it creates is this very curious effect. The powder is made essentially of salt and pigments. So the salt repels the water while the pigments disperse. So what you end up getting is this really unique burst of colors that's so unexpected. Ruby Mountain Paint Company doesn't only sell those though. She sells a whole range of products from handmade paints to paper. By the way, I'm going to put the link to this as well as all the other products that I mentioned in this video in the description below. Okay, we've talked about paints. Now let's talk about brushes. Now, some of you may know this company if you live in the UK or in Europe, but I would say that they're not quite as mainstream in America or in other parts of the world. For these brushes, we have to take a train through the English countryside to Hogwarts. Maybe not exactly Hogwarts, but close enough. We're gonna go to Yorkshire. Now, the company in question is Rosemary Co, another female-owned business. I mentioned Hogwarts because you know how in Harry Potter, the wand chooses the wizard? Well, a paintbrush, you could say, is like a wand for artists. When you're starting out, it doesn't really matter what you use, but once you've been painting for a while, you'll start to realize that a good brush is like an extension of your hand. You get really picky about what you like. And for this, quality matters. A lower quality brush can start to fall apart within months or even a year, but a handmade brush is like wine. It has unique characteristics that evolve and even mature over time. So no two are ever truly identical. Rosemary's brushes are very well made. She's so well regarded, in fact, that artists like Mark Majori, Cesar Santos, and Bill Size, they entrust Rosemary with their brushes. So if you're looking for something beautifully made that supports a family-owned business and is really competitively priced to boot, definitely check out Rosemary Company. Before we move on to my next item, I want to talk to you a little bit about another one of my best kept secrets. I get asked a lot about my skincare routine on this channel. Truth be told, for a good part of 2022, it's because I was actually pregnant, and we've all heard about that pregnancy glow. But one thing they don't tell you about is that postpartum, your skin takes a nosedive from radiant goddess to just rundown. So for months, I looked all over trying to find something to restore that radiance I had gotten so fond of, and that everyone, quite frankly, had been asking me about. It took a while, but this is what got me my glow back. It's a deep facial hydration device called the UFO3 by Foro, Sweden, and I'm thrilled to share that they have partnered up with me for this video. The UFO3 is like a spa that fits in the palm of your hand. And it's super convenient because you can get the benefits of a personalized spa session in as little as 5 minutes a day, whenever you like and wherever you like. Perfect for my busy lifestyle. It syncs up with the Foro app so you can customize your treatment by using one of their masks together with one of the device's many settings like thermotherapy, cryotherapy, and T-sonic massage, which helps the skin absorb the full benefits. It's clinically proven to increase skin hydration by 126% in just 2 minutes, which as a result reduces the appearance of wrinkles and of course gets you that coveted glow. So anyway, Foro has generously decided to give our community a 30% discount by clicking the link in the description box below. But there's a little extra to sweeten the deal for the first 50 people. Use the coupon code 10MARGO at checkout for an additional 10% off. So So if you're ready to revive your natural glow and keep it glowing strong, this could be the perfect addition to your daily routine. Thanks again to Foro for sponsoring today's video, and let's get back to our art supplies. Next item on my list is another product from across the pond, so to speak. Now, if you've seen some of my other videos about masking, you'll know that I love the little trick of coating your brush with soap before you paint to prevent the stickiness of the masking fluid from messing up your brushes. But that is a preventative measure. So what happens if you forget to do that? Or let's say you step away for 5 minutes. You come back and you've got yourself a giant clump of masking messiness. What can you do about it? In the past, I would have been pretty skeptical about being able to save that brush, but this changes everything. It's called Zested, and it's a liquid specifically made to dissolve masking fluid from your brushes. My favorite part is that it's all natural, so you don't have to worry about bringing in toxic or flammable substances into your space. In fact, the founder of the company started her company because she wanted to find a viable alternative to traditional solvents that were giving her headaches. So you coat the brush with Zested, you let it sit for a bit. Then you come back in maybe 10-15 minutes and start working the fibers of your brush and slowly but carefully pulling those little plasticky bits of the masking fluid off. And I like to give it another extra wash with dish soap. So if you're an artist who uses masking fluid, or if you are looking for a viable alternative to, those noxious solvents, the ones that, smell terrible and are definitely really toxic and bad for you, I would definitely recommend checking out Zested and adding this to your arsenal. So this one is for anyone who likes to add a little sparkle to their watercolors. If you know anything about me by now, it's that I am notoriously difficult to please when it comes to iridescence, and particularly with gold and silver paints. In fact, I'm so picky about it that I have a whole video about the lengths that I go through to mix the absolute perfect gold. But there is one brand and one paint maker that has legitimately wowed me. And this is a brand called Renaissance Paints. There are lackluster metallic paints, and then there's Renaissance. And I don't think that I can adequately describe how gorgeous they are. This is a one-woman operation, and it is clear to me that she is so passionate about her creations because they are unlike anything else that I've tried out there. Personally, my favorites from her have been her liquid chrome formula, as well as her color shift series. And she also does these really fun dot cards during the holidays so that you can get a sampler of many different colors and types of shimmers. Definitely worth checking if, like me, you on occasion like adding some shimmer to your pieces. This next one is one of my absolute favorites of the bunch, and you've probably seen some of these palettes in some of my tutorial videos, as well as some of my recent studio walkthroughs. These are 3D printed watercolor palettes by Arts to Embers, and they are so incredible. The store is owned by Zach, who is not a woman, but he is a stay-at-home dad and an entrepreneur. His palettes are the star of the show. They are well designed, they are sleek, and very unusual because they come in a huge range of sizes and styles, from a micro 3-pan palette that you could fit in your wallet or your diaper bag to a giant 119-pan double-decker travel palette. And if you have a custom request, Zach can even discuss it with you and come up with a solution. This guy eats, sleeps, and breathes art supplies. He really wants to help artists. And that's what makes me really passionate about recommending him and recommending a lot of the other entrepreneurs in this video, is that they love what they do and they want to help us. Like I mentioned, for most of the supplies on this list, it isn't just about the what, it's also about the who and the why. And in the case of Arts to Embers, buying a palette means you are supporting the livelihood and the family of these amazing entrepreneurs. I'm gonna shut up now and we're gonna keep going. So we've spoken about brushes, we've gotten to paints, we've gotten to palettes. Now let's talk paper. If you've painted on high quality paper like Arches, Saunders Waterford, Fabriano, you'll know what good top shelf paper feels like. And you'll know that good paper can make or break a painting. And I would say that most of those blue chip papers I just mentioned are more or less relatively comparable. So this one is going to be very, very different from anything that you've tried. And it's called Two Rivers paper, and it's completely handmade on an ancient watermill in Somerset, England. They follow old-time recipes and old techniques and methods of paper making. But it isn't just the description or the cachet that makes this paper interesting. The actual properties and the consistency and the surface of the paper is actually really unusual. The composition of the paper includes cotton, but it also has flax and other more unique materials like hemp seeds, flower petals, and recycled rag, which are part of what gives it a very unique and very textured personality. And one of my favorite parts about it too is that the sheets themselves come with a natural decal. Not a pull decal like you can get if you put a ruler down and pull the sheet. This is a true handmade decal, meaning the paper was not trimmed afterwards, but the sheet was formed exactly as is. So the rough edges are where the paper naturally ends. And it's a beautiful touch. So if you're selling originals, that's a nice detail to present to your client because they can actually frame your piece with a decal in view, which is so mwah. The next creator on this list is one you've probably known quite well if you watch a lot of art YouTube videos, because the next one is none other than our own Christy Rice and her Art for Joy's Sake art supplies. Christy is both a working artist as well as an art educator here on YouTube. And if that wasn't enough, she also has her own line of art materials. Now let me just clarify that these art supplies are not a licensing deal with just her name and likeness plastered on the package. The supplies themselves have actually been developed and formulated by her. And my favorite thing about what she does with her supplies, as well as her YouTube channel, is that she is not afraid to break the rules and to push the envelope when it comes to her products, and also this very welcoming, very artist for everyone kind of outlook, which I think we both share. In her watercolor palette, for example, you've got neon paints, you've got floral printed watercolor palettes, you have rose gold brush handles. It's super unique, and it's joyful. Ooh, I came up with a pun. I'm sure there will be people coming into the comments talking about how neon or fluorescent paints are not Lightfast. Not untrue, by the way. But I do not believe, personally, that the merit of art supplies or paints are in a metric rating like that, because we are all creating artwork for different end uses and purposes. So some people are selling originals. Some people are digitizing and selling their artwork reproduced onto products. Some people are painting in travel sketchbooks. So it's not one size fits all. Also, as a side note to my Lightfast snobs out there, I love you, but I'm going to call you out. FYI, pigments in watercolor formulation in general will not be as Lightfast as their oil or their acrylic counterparts. They're just not. Pigment Lightfastness varies depending on the ratio of pigment to binder and the concentration of pigments on the ground. Not the ground, but the ground meaning your painting surface. So with watercolor, I hate to burst your bubble, but watercolors tend to be way less Lightfast than other mediums because the pigments are not as concentrated as they are in oils or acrylics. Go to any art museum and you will most likely find watercolors in a dark room with pastels and other UV sensitive mediums. And that is just the nature of the beast. But does that mean that we stop painting with watercolors or with pastels as a result? Heck no. So long story short, to keep the critics at bay, while saying use what you want to use. And I, for one, think that Christy's art supplies are inspiring and they make me smile every time that I open them up. Okay, we're down to our last one. I know, I'm long-winded. People say that to me all the time in the comments. Shut it, Margot. But if you haven't picked up on this yet, I am super passionate about what I'm passionate about. I am all about art, all about art supplies, all day, every day, 7 days a week. It's exhausting for the people around me, but luckily this video has an end time. So let me talk to you about my last pick of the day. It's something that we all know. Most of us have visited at least one of them in our art career. But nowadays, I'm sad to say that it's become a disappearing treasure. In the age of online shopping on Amazon, wherever it is you buy your supplies, it's easy to overlook the magic of your small neighborhood art shop. You know the type, the tight little space bursting with thousands of tubes, paintbrushes, the one with the charmingly crooked wooden floors that creak every time you walk across them. Every single thing you could possibly need just jammed into every nook and cranny of this tiny little space. And my favorite part, the unmistakable scent of creativity just lingering in the air. No, that's turpentine. Never mind. But seriously though, they are in danger of going extinct. So we need to support them. So here's what I leave you with today. Support your local art shops. Whether it's buying your supplies there instead of online, maybe it's about attending their workshops and events, or simply spreading the word about them. Let's try to keep them alive, folks, because it would be such a shame to lose them. So I hope this video inspired you to check out these amazing art entrepreneurs, and also might have given you the idea to maybe put your phone down and check out your local art store. And if you have any recommendations of your own for indie art supplies, indie paint makers, brush makers, definitely leave them in the comments below because I would love to check them out. I'm all about finding those hidden gems. As always, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.